Okay, we've already talked about midpoint, so now we're going to introduce midpoint formula. So you're going to be using this when you are on a number line or coordinate plane. Okay, number line or coordinate plane. There are two midpoint formulas. The one for a number line, so let's say we are looking at this segment, A, B, and I want to know what is the midpoint of AB. Well, instead of adding this together and going, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, well, half of that is 1.5, and then doing all of that stuff, we can actually use a formula. And it says that you can take the average, and remember, if you are taking a test, if you've had two tests, that if you have a test score of, say, 80 and a test score of 100, and you want to find the average of them, you add them up and divide by 2. It's exactly what we're going to do here. It is A plus B divided by 2. So A is at -2 on the number line. B is at 1. Adding is part of the formula. Divide that by 2. Gives me -1/2. So that means right there would be my midpoint. And for midpoint, we use a capital M. Do not use a small m, because if you remember from algebra, that means slope. So if you are finding the midpoint on a number line, you add the coordinates and then divide by 2. On a coordinate plane, you're doing essentially the same thing. Sorry, that's my clock making all that noise. On a coordinate plane, the midpoint, which is the ordered pair of x comma y, that is going to equal, you're doing the exact same thing, but now we're going to be finding the average of our x's and the average of our y's. So when you get all done, this is one big ordered pair. So if we have one ordered pair of x sub 1 and y sub 1, and another ordered pair of x sub 2 and y sub 2, what you're doing is you're averaging the x's and you're averaging the y's. So this whole thing represents my x and this represents my y. So I'm going to average x sub 1 plus x sub 2, divide that by 2. I'm going to average my y. So y sub 1 plus y sub 2 divided by 2. So those are the two formulas. If you're trying to find the midpoint, so let's find the midpoint of GH. Of GH, where G is the ordered pair of 7 and -2, and H is the ordered pair of -5, -6. So because I have an ordered pair, I know it's going to be on a coordinate plane, so I am going to find the midpoint. I'm going to average my x's, so 7 plus a -5 divided by 2, and I'm going to average my y's. -2 plus, as part of the formula, a -6 divided by 2. If I simplify, 7 plus a -5 is 2 over 2. -2 plus a -6 is -8 over 2, which gives me order pair of 1 and -4. So if I were to graph 7 and -2 on a number line, and if I were to graph -5 and -6 on a number line, then the midpoint would be at order pair of 1 and -4. if we are going backwards, so if I give you the midpoint M of 5 and 8 and an endpoint of an endpoint A at 2 and -3. Find the coordinates of B. Okay, so the formula is not going to change. We're just going to set it up a little bit differently. So my midpoint is 5 and 8. That should equal the average of my x's and the average of my y's. I only have one endpoint. So my other endpoint that I don't know, I'm just going to label that x and y. Some colored pens out here. So I have one endpoint, so 2 plus the x that I don't know, divide that by 2, and -3 plus the y that I don't know, and divide that by 2. Remember this, oopsie, this is x comma y, and this is also x comma y. So this is an x and that is x. So they should equal each other. So 5 equals 2 plus x divided by 2. And over here, 8. So the y should equal the other y divided by 2. You can do these a couple different ways. You can think of it just in general terms of what number divided by 2 gives you 5? And the answer would be 10. So 2 plus x should equal 10. Doing your algebra, x would equal 8. Or you can also look at it as a proportion. So I have 5 times 2 is 10. That should equal 1 times 2 plus x, which is 2 plus x. Either way, you're going to get x to equal 8. Same thing over here. What number divided by 2 equals 8? It is 16. So -3 plus y, so that numerator should equal 16. Add 3 to both sides, and you have y to equal 19. So the missing endpoint is the order pair of 8 and 19. And that is it.